So now I'm recording, so it's time to get this show on the road. So I'm joined here by Shelter. He is the coach of the Humber CSGO team. So I'm just going to pass the torch to you real quick. So just, can you give us a really quick introduction to yourself? Your name, your program, your role within the team.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Noah Webster. My in-game name I go by is Shelter. I am graduating from Humber College sadly this year, but my role on the team throughout was the vice president and one of the head coaches, trying to help organize the team and make sure that all of our strats are top-notch.
So recently I watched JD's video, and for anyone watching who doesn't know who JD is, he's a Humber CSGO athlete. And in this documentary that he had, you were there and you talked a little bit about how a skiing accident later transitioned into your involvement in esports. So would you be able to talk about that transition?
Yeah, for sure. So growing up in high school, I was playing CSGO on the side with my friends, but to no competitive level, just casually matchmaking. That was the most competitive I got. And I was really, really focused and really had the drive for competitive sports, soccer, basketball, hockey, badminton. Skiing was my main focus and the one that I personally felt I could compete at the highest level in. And unfortunately, I had a thing where I kind of got my ski caught on cross country and I kind of tore like the leg and I still tried to compete even though people told me I probably shouldn't, and I really wanted to, but sadly because of the injury, my level of how competitive I was wasn't really there. So I needed another place to put all of my competitive drive, and at that point I tried to put it in a Counter-Strike, and I started trying to get more competitive in it. Really liked it, and even after the skiing injury I continued to be competitive in Counter-Strike as well.
All right, and so that definitely transitioned over to the Humber CSGO scene. So as far as the actual club of Humber, how did you get involved, and how did you become the vice president of Humber CSGO?
So my freshman year, I really was looking for it because I had heard of all these college teams in the States and was kind of sad to hear that we didn't really have anything like that at Humber. I think it was just I was talking to the wrong type of people at the time, or wrong crowd of people at the time for that. So I went on my own for the first year in my college and just kind of played on other teams that I had either created or that I joined. And then just one day, second year in, I just got an email from my dad saying, hey, look, there's this really cool article on Humber talking about an esports room and a League of Legends team that just got formed. So that day I found who wrote the article, and I found the teachers involved, added them on Twitter and messaged them on Twitter and just said, hey, go to Humber. I really am into competitive Counter-Strike. Is there anything I can do to either start a team, or if there's already a team, can I get a Discord or can I try to join? And that there was already another person interested in starting it, which was Franco, really good guy, and me and him kind of got into contact with each other at the required forums and went from there.
So between now and when you first started the CSGO club, do you have any comments on the evolution of just the collegiate CSGO scene as a whole?
Because of the way that we started our first year, we couldn't really get too into the competitive scene because a lot of the tournaments and a lot of the matches and stuff like that had already had their registrations closed. So we were doing kind of like low-level competition, sadly, for the first year. But I've definitely noticed an evolution in the focus on competitive esports in colleges and high schools are starting to become a lot more popular. We see a lot more specific teams dedicated to it, a lot more time and effort dedicated to giving these players every possible advantage they could have to become successful in their career, and at colleges and universities that are providing that. And I think that that's been a great transition from first year I got there to when I'm leaving to see.
Would you be able to give any comments on any specific ups or downs that you or the club or the team has had during your tenure here?
Yeah, so I think if we're talking about me personally, I did kind of have a down transitioning. I knew that first year, obviously, I was playing on the team, but I knew that if I wanted to see them be competitive, that I didn't see a spot for me on the team unless I kept playing and just tried to get really, really good and just really tried to improve. And eventually, because I was trying so hard, focusing on anything else, of course, I got burned out during the summers. And sadly, when I finally found the drive to play again, I knew at that point that I probably wouldn't really have the skill to make the team, knowing that other people deserved more of an opportunity. Just because I created the teams didn't make me more special than anybody else trying out. So I think me trying to cope and trying to find like a place, like transitioning to coach, like obviously I really, really tried hard to get on the team, but I just remember I left it up to other people to decide the teams. Even though I was hosting the tryouts mainly and I was the main person organizing all of it, I left it completely up to them. I had no say in it, and I just remember getting the list and just being like, I didn't make it, but I really, really love this sport, and what can I do in my power to give these guys the best possible opportunities to become successful? And to me, what I decided on was focusing a lot harder on coaching and really trying to just see what the players need and trying to dive into the role of transitioning from playing it full time to how can I support people doing it full time. And I feel like that was personally a down, which turned into a really big up in my opinion. I enjoy coaching it actually a lot more than I did playing. So yeah, kind of a down, but turned into a really big upside if you ask me, for sure.
I think one upside that the club definitely had was just recently with the 2v2 tournament that you hosted. So do you have any reflections on how that tournament went down? And are you a big fan of the innovative offense brought forth by Bruce Payne and Spruce Wayne?
Yeah, so the 2v2 tournament was something that I had always had in the back of my mind all through. Like, I wanted to make a tournament where we could play, whether it was 5 people or 2v2 wingmans or anything like that. I just kind of wanted to host a tournament and just see where people stacked up. I loved commentating. I love all the streaming and technical aspects. So the 2v2 tournament was a really good opportunity to gain more exposure and get a lot more people interested in playing Counter-Strike and just trying to have fun with it. Even though there was prize pools, most of the focus was just on trying it out and just seeing if this could be a successful tactic to get people more interested in Humber Counter-Strike and just get people more interested in Humber Esports as a whole. And I feel like we definitely achieved that with the tournament. I think we had an average of 30 to 35 viewers, tons of people talking. And the thing I liked most about the tournament was the people in the chats, the people that were playing. Also, I felt like it kind of became a little community where we'd go and like we get post-match interviews. We get like insights on people wanting to help us commentate, and I feel like that little community side was really what made the 2v2 Wingman tournament a success. And I feel like it's going to be a very vital part of not only Humber Esports, but like just tournaments and how we deal with tournaments in the future and running them.
I agree. Like when I was playing in it, and when I was just watching Twitch chat in general, it was just a really fun time throughout its entirety. So. You mentioned that you're going to be, like, you're a graduate, or you're going to be graduating. So,
yes.
Have you put much thought into, or have you started the process of passing the torch on, being the vice president?
Yeah, so passing the torch, I don't know. I always have a hard time with passing the torch on. I've had problems with the past with, like, kind of quitting, like, competitive skiing and stuff like that, and, like, passing it on to younger want to stay involved. So I think I'm going to stay on as a consultant, or at least like I want to help out as much as I can from a role outside of the college. You know, like, do you need a consultant? Do you need somebody to help you find tournaments? Do you need me to watch some demos for you guys? Like, I'm always really, really willing to do that stuff, and I'm really hope that I do have the opportunity to do that stuff in the future. I've started passing the torch off to one of our players that played first year and then was one of the assistant coaches this year. And hopefully they're super excited to take the role, and I'm super excited to give it to them. So I've started the process with them of just kind of going through and just saying, hey, where can I fit in? What can I do now that I'm no longer affiliated technically?
Well, that's nice. So before we wrap this up, do you have any last words or thank yous or just any other topics that we haven't discussed yet?
I'd honestly just like to thank Humber Esports and especially the staff for giving us this opportunity. Like, I know at points, obviously, there was points where the staff and the players obviously didn't see eye to eye at times, and that's obviously going to happen because it's grassroots, it's starting up. But seeing when I first got there, like the first day I kind of came in, they said, these are the forms I need, to now we get so much more support, and I've seen them work really, really hard, and I know they do a lot more than that behind the scenes. So I'd just like to say a big thank you to you guys for helping us and giving us all of these great opportunities. I definitely wouldn't be like as excited about Humber, let's put it that way, like leaving it, if I wasn't involved in Humber Esports.
Yep, I can definitely agree, and I know that the staff has also been really thankful for your efforts too, and kind of helping build everything from the ground up. So that would be a wrap up here. Thank you again very much for your time.
For having me anytime. It's been a pleasure.
Yep. We'll see you on Dust 2.
Sounds good.